Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Angel and today I'll be sharing with you some more fun and simple DIYs. Before we get started, as always, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and click that little notification bell so that you won't miss out on any of my future videos.
This first project was inspired by this little Easter egg tabletop sign that I saw at Kirkland's, so I decided to make my own with some Dollar Tree material. We're going to be using these two signs that have the wood bead hangers and also a pack of the little Easter eggs from Dollar Tree and a pack of the bunnies. The first thing I'm doing is just taking the backs off of these little frames, and I'm going to take out that little square part. Then I'm going to be using some of Dollar Tree's little poster board, and I'm going to trace around that because this is what I'm going to cover the little signs with. You could just paint over the words, but I'm just going to go ahead and use this poster board to cover the signs. And you can see here, I just went ahead and used my glue stick to glue these little poster boards to the signs. For this project, we'll be using 4 of those little bunnies and 4 of the Easter eggs, and I'm just using these pastel colors that I had to do the painting. And just like the inspiration from Kirkland's, I'm just going to be doing these colors in different angles across the top, bottom, and then diagonal across the bunnies and the eggs. Now once they were all dry, all I had left to do was just glue down my bunnies into one of my frames and glue the eggs into the other one. For this next project, I'll be using one of these Valentine's Day tabletop decor pieces from Dollar Tree, and I went ahead and removed the little arrow and the screw from the front of this, and I filled that hole in with some of Dollar Tree spackle, and then I sanded it down a little bit. I went ahead and gave this 2 coats of white paint, and I'm also still going to be using that little arrow that I removed. I just wanted to paint it black, and also I wanted to move it up just a little bit. Now while that was drying, I'm also going to be using 2 of these little wood bunnies again for this project, and I'm just painting them with some of my celery chalk paint. I'm just using some of Dollar Tree stickers for this project, but if you have a Cricut, you could of course use that or a stencil or anything else that you might have. Now you can see here, I'm just kind of using this paper that I had. I went ahead and traced it over, and I just kind of wrote out how I was going to put bunny trail across the top and open daily at the bottom, and I'm going to be using this to kind of help guide me. I don't really know why, but when I'm placing stickers on things, they have a tendency to kind of get wonky or a little crooked, not really straight. So this just really helps me to know where I need to put my letters. But if you're really good at putting stickers on stuff, then you definitely just could skip this part. So once I finished that, I went ahead and I hot glued my little arrow down. You can see I painted it black, and I did move it up just a little bit so I could fit those stickers underneath it. And then I'm going to go in with my little screwdriver and add that screw back in. And finally, for this project, I'm just hot gluing those bunnies down to the sign. For this project, I wanted to make one of those nail and yarn art bunnies, so I picked up this wood plaque and some of Dollar Tree's white yarn. I also just traced out a bunny from my computer screen on a piece of paper, and that's what I'm going to be using as my template. I picked up this nail set in the hardware section of Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using these very small nails right here. And you want to be very careful when you're nailing these in. so that it doesn't go all the way through. But as you can see here, all I'm doing is using that bunny as a template, and then I'm just hammering in those nails very gently around the bunny. This is what it looked like when I was finished putting the nails in place. Just make sure that you add nails wherever there are curves so that you can get the shape of the bunny. So I wasn't really sure how to start this, but I went ahead and I tied a knot around the first little nail, and then I just continued to wrap my yarn around the perimeter of the bunny to do the full outline first. Then I just kind of started wrapping it in zigzag patterns and diagonal, just any way that you want to do it, I guess, really. And I just continued wrapping it around the nails and going back and forth across and top and bottom until I felt like I had the pattern that I wanted. Now, I did have to keep pushing the yarn down a little bit as I was wrapping around the nails. So if you do this project, just remember to kind of push the yarn down as you're going, and that way it'll make it easier for you. For the final project, we'll be using one of these little wood bunnies from Dollar Tree. And it did have a hole up top in the ear where it had a piece of twine. I went ahead and filled that with some Dollar Tree spackle. And we'll also be using one of these small wooden crates from Dollar Tree. I went ahead and gave my bunny 2 coats of my white chalk paint. And then I also painted the little wood crate as well. When that was dry, I just went ahead and took a Sharpie and one of my rulers, and I wanted to do a kind of shiplap look on this bunny. This is totally optional. You don't have to do this. You could do your own design if you'd like, or just leave the bunny white. Then I'm just taking some Dollar Tree wood glue and I'm attaching that crate to the bunny. So while that wood glue is drying, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do to dress up the bunny just a little bit with some color, and I decided to use some of those wooden egg ornaments that I had left over. I just drilled some tiny little holes in the top of these, and I'm going to put them on some twine and tie them around the bunny's neck at the end. Again, this is just totally optional. You could just do a nice little bow with some of the ribbon from Dollar Tree, but I just went ahead and painted these eggs with some Easter colors, and I just thought that these would be really cute to give this project some color. Here, I'm just adding in some of Dollar Tree's floral foam, and I'm gonna hot glue that down into the little crate. And it was pretty much at this point that I decided I wanted to give this bunny a fluffy tail, so I'm using some Dollar Tree yarn, just wrapping that around my hand, and then I'm going to slide that off and tie it really tight with another piece of yarn. Then I'm going to snip off all of those little loops, and then I'm just going to trim that down. I went ahead and just hot glued the little bunny tail down, and then I'm also going to be taking some of this moss from Dollar Tree and just gluing it to the top of that piece of foam to cover it. And just using some of Dollar Tree's flowers, I'm just going to cut these little picks down and stick them into the foam. And finally, as I mentioned before, I'm just going to take some twine and tie a bow around the bunny's neck, and then I'm going to add those little Easter eggs. And here's a look at how it turned out. That's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.